Ready.
Last week, I began to discuss the five major time periods concerning the end times, which was part of my series on from devastation to restoration. But can I go over with you a few of the headlines? Would that be okay?
Sure.
You know, massive FEMA camp with graves discovered in Houston. And the question is, they're open for business now. Widespread famine ahead, adding to economic woes. Locusts devastate crops from South to Central Asia. America is in the early stages, and there should have been a period there. America is in the early stages of a violent revolution. Mix this with a pandemic, food supply issues, unemployment, Chinese aggression, it's a recipe for destruction. Can I have an amen? U.S. citizens urged to arm themselves, stockpile ammo, food, and prepare for attacks by Antifa, jihadists, radical radical illegals. Jihadists are out to get Americans. Okay? People need guns now more than ever. Has anybody priced any ammunition lately? Really through the roof, isn't it?
Top dollar for it.
Yeah.
I buy it anyway.
The good guy that has good news buys ammo?
Of course.
Sounds pretty good to me. Individual citizens need guns for protection. They're talking about every channel that you turn to, they're talking about taking away the police officers.
Yeah, right.
And so, who's going to protect us? Amen?
Right.
How do you prepare for a revolution? Expect an eruption of destruction in all sectors of our society. Our country, goods, services will ultimately be available only through barter and exchange. I was reading an article this morning, and the truckers have said any area where they don't have the police, the trucks aren't coming.
Good for them. Yeah, good.
Now, you know what that means. We're talking about starvation. There's no goods coming into that area because it's going to be commandeered. In Seattle, the people that go in there to that 5 or 6 block area, they're told they've got to pay the black people $10. You got to pay them $10. Another one, forced vaccination, digital certificates, it's coming. The opposition will be crushed. In other words, you can't fight against this. And this is what our government wants. Here's one. The downtown Seattle area is now run by an actual warlord. Reminds me of times in China where they had warlords. He's accused of beating women, forcing them into sex acts. And then you got clueless Democrats that celebrate the warlord rule as new utopia. I think that's enough of that. You know, a lot of people say, "Well, I'm sick of watching the news because nothing ever changes." I made that comment just the other night. I just got sick of it. But you know, we're also told in the Bible that we're to be aware of the times and the seasons that we're living in. Okay? So, going back over what we talked about last week, Jesus said to them, and this is out of Mark 13, verses 1 through 13, which I won't read in its entirety. Jesus said, "Watch out, don't let anyone fool you. Many people claiming to speak for me will come and say, 'I am he.' They will fool many people, but don't be troubled when you hear the noise of battles close by and the news of battles far away. Such things must happen. Devastation to restoration. But this doesn't mean that the end is coming yet. Countries will fight against one another. Kingdoms will attack one another. There'll be earthquakes everywhere. Have you noticed the number of earthquakes here in the world today? If you have, raise your hand. Would you leave your hand up? Wow, thank you. Let's just have an altar call and go home. All of these things happening, it says, are nothing more than the first pains of childbirth. I'm not going to ask you how many have been around to see childbirth. A lot of you have. You have participated. Well, maybe not you, but there's people in here who have. And it gets pretty painful. Amen? Muriel and I have 3 children between the two of us, and she had 2 without me from a prior marriage. But she knows the pain. I know there were times that I could only be with her for an hour or 2, and I'd have to leave to go off to sea. And she was left there all by herself. Her in that room, 12 hours worth of labor. Absolutely terrible. Sometimes even longer. But be encouraged. Today, we live in a day in the age of grace. God's offering forgiveness through the blood of Christ to anyone who will receive it. But this time is going to end soon. The following events will take place before Christ returns. Spiritual deception and false messiahs. There's so much deception going on in our churches today. In many cases, it's all about the pastor. It's all about the pastor. You know, I need to move faster, have a bigger car, a bigger home, a faster jet. I need all those things because I got a lot of places to go. And I've got people to see. So I need all those things. Wars and rumors of wars, international disturbances. It's happening all around us. We're at war with ourselves in America. I was reading an article recently that we have over 400,000 Chinese of military age in our country right now. How many knew that? Did you raise your hand? No. Over 400,000 Chinese that are in our country, going to schools, working in different places that are of military age right now. Natural disasters. Mark talks about it in chapter 13, verse 8. It says, nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There will be earthquake in various places, in famines. These are the beginnings of birth pains. The locust over in the Asia area is destroying everything that can be destroyed. There are millions upon millions of people that are starving to death right now. When those locusts come, the sky literally turns black. Sometimes 1,000 feet in the air down are the locusts. And they eat everything. But they're